Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Tracker. Tracker makes losing things a thing of the past. Pair Tracker to your smartphone, attach it to any item, and find its precise location with the tap of a button. Visit thetracker.com right now to take advantage of their Father's Day limited time sale through June 13th only, and enter promo code AAA for a free color upgrade. And by Gazelle, the online marketplace for buying and selling used gadgets. Shop from a variety of certified pre-owned electronics or trade one in for cash. Give a new life to a used device. Visit Gazelle.com today. And by the Ring Video Doorbell. With Ring, you can see and talk to anyone at your door from anywhere in the world using your smartphone. It's like caller ID for your home. Go to ring.com/allaboutandroid and get $50 off the Ring of Security kit with their limited time offer. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android. This is episode 269, recorded on Tuesday, June 7th, 2016. We're your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Florence Ion.
How's it going, Flo?
It's going well.
How go, Flo?
It goes.
Okay, excellent.
Although
Good to know.
I am feeling
Flo.
empty today because I'm always empty when Ron's not here.
I know, it's kind of...
He is, my better
It's kind of a bummer. Ron kind of had a last minute, sorry, I can't make the show. Wasn't feeling very well, had to bow out. We've all been there. It's
We have
okay.
all been there. It is okay.
It's okay.
But
We got this,
I just
Flo.
hope Ron knows how much.
His sister misses him.
Yes.
Basically. All right. Joining us for the first time on the show, a person who kind of needs no introduction because we've talked about Evan Blass's leaks all the time on the show. So you're kind of a celebrity in the All About Android world. Evan Blass, VentureBeat.com, at EvLeaks on Twitter. How's it going, Evan?
Hi, guys. It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to get you on the show today. And I mean, it's the perfect week for you to come on, actually, because we've got a ton of stories in the hardware block specifically, which is kind of what you specialize in what you do kind of around hardware at VentureBeat. And you're pretty known for kind of leaks of hardware in advance. So we've got a lot of that in today's show. And thought we might also kind of talk to you a little bit about kind of the behind the scenes of being an infamous leaker of gadgets and devices and stuff. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Absolutely.
We're going to be talking about that, of course. We also have Google's increasingly hands-on role in developing the Nexus devices, what we can expect from Thursday's Project Tango reveal. OnePlus is growing up. They're stepping into the big leagues now, and a whole lot more. But Brian, I think it's time to get to the news.
Ron may be out sick, but we have the cure for your knowledge, and it's called Android News.
Too bad that cure isn't going to make Ron feel any better today. Maybe long term, maybe
if
tomorrow.
he starts watching, Evan a little bit on the show. Like
might be watching right now, actually. Ron, you better be watching live. That's part of the deal when you call out sick on a show that you do every
You'll be
single
tested
Tuesday.
on this material next week.
That's right. Okay, so first up at last week's Code Conference, Recode has their Code Conference. Google CEO Sundar Pichai took some time to discuss the future of Nexus for Android. In fact, we happen to have Sundar here to tell us what he said to Walt Mossberg on stage at Code last week. He said, "We're investing more effort into Nexus. You'll see us put a lot more thought into Nexus devices going forward. We'll be opinionated where we need to be to push the devices forward." He went on to say, "Today, when we ship Nexus phones, we ship stock Android. You'll see us ship more features. You'll see us be more opinionated about the design of the phones." So, I mean, the internet, of course, went nuts over the fact that he's even implying that, A, there would be kind of tighter control over Nexus devices, but B, and this probably got a lot more kind of feedback from folks on the internet, that there would be some sort of like extra feature layer on top of Nexus devices. What do we think he actually means by saying this? Because I feel like this is being interpreted as either Google is, stripping away what it means to be vanilla Android, or it's just being interpreted as, yeah, Google does this all the time. They add features into Android. That's all he's talking about. Flo, do you have an opinion on this?
I definitely agree with the latter point that you made. I think it's just added features. They're just gonna make Android a little more spectacular than it is, so that it's not considered vanilla Android. Because I think vanilla Android is not a very good selling point for stock Android.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you don't want to think of the Nexus as like a Android Lite. You don't want to give Samsung and LG all the credit for making the Android industry or ecosystem what it is. So as Google, you got to entice people, and they've kind of already shown some of this at Google I/O. They're going to, add a layer of VR functionality that's native for anybody who wants to get into that. They're going to add all these new messaging features and chatbots and things like that it will superpower out Android. How the manufacturers are going to use it, we don't know yet. We'll see it. It's probably just going to be like an add-on. And maybe it'll exist that way to try and get the OEMs to not be so pushy. I know it's kind of a negative word to use, but not be so pushy with their own,
Their own kind of influences
their own kind of
over the top.
Yeah, I want to say marketing spiels, because I feel like sometimes things are added just to kind of, be like,
Differentiators.
this is the Android phone you have to choose. Yeah, exactly. And it might help. It also might help the platform become a little more. I don't want to say homogenous, because that's also kind of a negative word. But
It can be, yes.
on the same level playing field.
Sure. Okay. I mean, do you think by doing these types of things, the Nexus device would kind of take a step up? Like right now, it really feels like Nexus devices are enthusiast devices, people who are really close to Android, who really, who are developers, or basically the people that, would watch a show like All About Android every single week, might care about Nexus devices. But by and large, they aren't necessarily adopted by a lot of people outside of those enthusiast, communities, let's say.
Yeah.
Do you think changes like these could help that? Is that even Google's end game as far as this is concerned?
Well, yeah. I mean, we saw that with their marketing this year. Like, their marketing this year was totally for the everyman. And I think by adding more features to stock devices, it'll make it more of a selling point. Something that honestly could compete with the iPhone.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point.
So I guess we'll see if Sundar has anything more to share here in a couple of months. Which, I mean, actually, it's probably not going to be Sundar. Sometime in the next couple of months, we'll start to see the new crop of the Nexus devices, and we've heard a little bit about HTC possibly creating a couple of these. There was also news over the past week, and I didn't put it in the rundown because it really seemed like it was very kind of iffy on both sides. Was that possibly Huawei would be returning to?
Oh my gosh! Everybody was
form with
backing
that,
and forth on that this weekend. Yes, it was an interesting piece of gossip that was going around.
Yeah,
I don't think it really matters.
Yeah.
At this point, a Nexus device is a Nexus device. Well, I mean, a Nexus 6. Well, but it's okay. We'll leave that in the past.
I like the Nexus
I know you
6.
did. That's why I felt bad I brought it up, because I was like, great, Jason really liked that phone, and now I'm bringing it up. I don't think it really matters, because a Nexus device is a Nexus device.
Sure.
And I think Google having more of a handle on what's going on with the hardware makes more sense. And I think they're also trying to make it be less about the manufacturers and saying, like, it's less about, the Nexus 6P maybe shouldn't have been a platform for Huawei to come out and say, look at us, America. Maybe it should have just been like, hi, it's about us, Google. Yeah. That's kind of what.
Right. Yeah, but it was definitely a beneficial thing for Huawei. And
absolutely.
I'm happy to see that. Evan, I'm curious to know what phone, like, are you attached to, let's say, the Nexus brand, or is there any particular, phone manufacturer that you tend to kind of have as your own personal device? Any preferences there?
There's not, and in fact, I always think of myself as not just hardware agnostic, but platform agnostic too. Meaning that when I first started buying smartphones, this was back in the day when Palm was king, and so Palm was my choice, both for hardware and for platform. Then I moved on to Windows Mobile. Then I had an iPhone briefly, and then I moved on to Android. So, and beyond that, when it comes to manufacturers, I've always tried to buy the phones that have the most compelling features for the day. And, sometimes it's LG, sometimes it's Samsung. So yeah, I'm really not tied to any particular brand.
Probably the right way to go, to be honest. Keep those options open. And I keep meaning, because I'm so like entrenched in the Android world, because that's just the only smartphone that I've ever used, since back in the Motorola Droid days. That is the smartphone platform that I've always used.
You're not going to do something else, are you?
Well,
that would be blasphemous.
Well, what I would like to do, because there are times where I feel like in order to have some sort of responsibility in the opinions that I form on other platforms.
He's going to say it.
Of course, I think that it's kind of imperative for me to try other platforms, at least for a short term, just to see what things I like about them and what things I do not. Is that wrong?
It's not. It's being good at your job. I know, but
I don't know. Possibly one day soon, Megan Maroney here at Twitch, she does a lot of the iPhone and iOS stuff. I of course do a lot of the Android stuff.
You guys should switch places one day. Do like a day in the life with your phones.
Well, no, we're talking about switching for a week, like switching devices and just living with the device for a week.
I would love that.
Just to see, what do we like about the Switch? What do we not like? Of course, she's had experience with Android before. I have not really had much experience with iOS before.
Yeah,
so there's
I
a
went
little
to
bit
the
of a
dark
difference
side
there,
for 6 months, and that's when I realized that I just wasn't really interested in what the iOS platform had to offer. But that's just my opinion, my personal opinion.
I think there's value to knowing what their strengths and their weaknesses are from experience. So tell us a little bit about Android in shifting gears, prisons here.
Yes. So actually, I was corrected today on Twitter from a pal who works with the San Francisco County, and he told me that it's not prisons, it's jails that I mentioned in my story. But either way, it's all kind of the same thing. But basically, I had a really amazing interview with a man named Christopher Grew. He is the CEO of APDS, which is a company called American Prison Data Systems. It started about 3 years ago. It's a startup, and their whole objective is to get tablets into prisons and jails to help inmates become rehabilitated, just to give them access to kind of the outside world, within limits, within sort of a little bit of limit.
I'm assuming, they have quite the kind of limits set for the prisoners.
Yeah, absolutely. And they use Galaxy Tab S2 tablets.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually, they just updated them since the start a couple of years ago. So, but they've been using Tab S tablets. They work with Samsung and Google. The tablets all run off of Verizon LTE. There's no Wi-Fi infrastructure in the jails and prisons that are open to inmates. So
how do they get around that?
Well, everything is LTE connected.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just use Verizon. They said it's the one that works the best through prison walls. And each tablet is equipped with special software that's limited in use. So there's a browser that's very secure that lets you use sites like LexisNexis, for instance. Actually, I don't think this is part of one of the sites, but sites where you can search for like law articles and sort of like, if you're preparing for your trial that's coming up, like, so you can research it. Limited amount of ebooks, like digital prison library, so people can read. It's just, I just thought it was a really interesting company doing something interesting with Android. And I also thought it was particularly interesting that they didn't gravitate towards iOS as their first
Why is that? Is it a cost?
Because iOS is not open enough.
Oh, okay.
iOS is just not open enough. I guess the MDM, mobile device management, the one they chose works a little bit, it's a little more malleable with Android tablets. It's easier to make custom software for these Android tablets.
Yes.
Versus
for sure.
iOS.
Yeah.
And the tablets are cheaper
Well, yeah, and
than iPads. So
you mentioned, or rather, the person that you were interviewing here mentioned that their next stage is Chromebooks, which are A, going nutso right now for obvious reasons, but B, soon we'll have all of the much of the benefits of Android once Android apps are working on the Chrome OS.
Yeah.
So that'll be a big deal.
it is a big deal. I just think it's wonderful just to hear human interest stories like this of people doing interesting things with technology. And one particular quote that sort of stood out to me when we talked is just, I had asked him, like, well, how do the inmates respond to having like this piece of technology in their hands, even though they're incarcerated? And he said that a lot of times the inmates get really emotional because somebody is actually treating them like a real person, not just,
Yeah, and there's a level of trust.
There's a level of trust, in being able to check out this tablet, to use it for self-edification. And it also means, like, I'm trusting you and I'm giving you power that people, outside of these walls have that you don't have. Like, this is,
Yeah.
it's important.
Yeah, it's a big, it speaks to kind of what I've loved about Android over the years is that all along Android ends up appearing in all of these places that you might not expect, be it locations or be it different applications and devices. Like suddenly out of nowhere, it's appearing in a particular device that you've never seen it implemented in that sort of way. Super flexible as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very interesting stuff. So, Evan, we've got you on the line. We got to talk to you a little bit about this stuff. I would love to kind of throw a few questions your way about kind of what it is that you do, and what I would say a lot of the people, especially the kind of people that follow a show like All About Android, but definitely Android enthusiasts, people who are really tuned into the Android news and just device news in general on the internet, what they know your name for, whether they know Evan Blass or whether they know EvLeaks. They probably have seen a lot of your work online because so many of these hardware leaks that we hear about on a weekly basis, man, your name is attached to so much of this stuff. And it's just kind of crazy. So it's awesome to get you on and have the chance to kind of ask you a few questions. I was thinking maybe from a little bit more of a behind the scenes perspective as opposed to the leaks themselves. We'll maybe talk about those a little bit later. But one thing that and feel free to say I can't answer this because I completely understand that in the world of kind of leaks, like you are being trusted with this information and to protect the people that are giving you this information. So I get it. If any of this stuff kind of crosses that line, just let us know. No comment. We'll move forward. It's not a problem. But first things first, how exactly do you establish connections that entrust you with this kind of information? I have to imagine this is something that doesn't just happen, but it takes a lot of time. How did that work for you?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I've been in this industry, for over 10 years now. I started at Engadget. I moved on to Pocket Now. And, just in the course of your job, when you're involved with technology and, reporting on this stuff on a daily basis, you meet people, keep in touch with them, build up trust. And, especially when I started leaking, quote unquote, professionally, it sort of snowballed where, the more my name got out there, the more people would get in touch with me. And it's a double-edged sword because you also get a lot more attempts to hoax you that way. Mm-hmm. So it's important that, you're really judicious. And I've been fooled a couple times, and some people will be quick to point that out. But I've been lucky that, especially in the last couple of years, I've had a lot of people approach me as opposed to just having to rely on connections that I made myself throughout my career.
So suddenly there's kind of like a critical turning point where instead of you having to kind of seek these things out, you're already well known for being a good source for this type of stuff. And now people know that they can trust you with that information, trust that you'll perhaps disseminate that information in a responsible way without calling any attention to who actually gave you that information, all that kind of stuff. Interesting stuff. What would you say, where exactly does that trust come from? Is that just because people have, the people who have this information have seen you over however many years giving this information, and they just feel like, okay, well, of all the people that I could reach out to with this information, this is the person, the one person that I think could do something responsible with it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I try to present myself professionally, even though it's just leaking. Some people sort of see it as, something fun, not really something someone would do as an occupation. But I've always, looked at it like a job. I have a responsibility to both people I'm getting information from and people I'm disseminating information to. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to think that shines through, and that, you see that if you do give me information, it's going to be presented responsibly. I'm going to vet it. I'm not going to say anything extraneous about it regarding any sources or so. Yeah, I mean, what you said is the longer history you have of doing this and doing it with, some degree of not sure the word I'm looking for, judiciousness, that people will see that and be comfortable with you.
What percentage of this kind of information that comes to you would you say is anonymous, as in like out of nowhere, somebody that you've never been in touch with gives you this information? And maybe percentage is the wrong question. That isn't really at the core of what I'm asking. But how do you take this suddenly anonymous information and get to the point of thinking, okay, I realize this is a source that I'm not used to taking information from, but I trust the information and I'm willing to go kind of public with what I've been given? How do you make that determination?
Well, first of all, I try to be transparent when it comes to at least that very basic fact of something is an anonymous tip, and I wouldn't report on it on VentureBeat. Right. But if I'm going to put it up as a leak, I just had something this week where I got something that was an anonymous tip, and that was the first thing I said about it. So, the images look accurate enough. It seems like these are professional renders. Having been around a while, that it's hard to create professional looking renders. It's far from impossible, and plenty of people do it, and I've been tricked by it in the past. So I present that information as, hey, here's something I got, but I'm not putting, my name behind it. I didn't get this from someone I know. And, that informs and it should inform your level of confidence in this league.
Sure.
Do the companies that you work with, have they ever come after you and been like, why did you leak that? Who's your person? Tell me everything.
It's rare, but I've been contacted, yeah.
Yeah, I have to imagine. Do you think there's a layer of and this, by the way, comes from our chat room. JJ in the chat room has a really great question that involves kind of the marketing influence of leaks, because, sometimes it's hard to know whether a leak is, a leak just based on, I just happen to have this information that people want to know, and I'm just doing, a good guy leaker thing to give this to Evan. Yes, dear Evan, because for whatever random reason, people might want to know this.
I have a thing for you. Wink, 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 wink.
Versus like a company that actually has a vested interest in leaking something. I mean, the only example that I can think of, just as the last time that I wondered this, is, Google had its Google Home announcement at Google I/O a couple of weeks ago. And then what do you know, a few days later, source leaks that Apple is working on, AI for the Apple TV, blah, blah. I was like, wow, the timing is really, really right for this leak to happen. I mean, how much do you think there is kind of marketer involvement in the kind of dissemination of leaks?
I will say this, that controlled leaks, they do exist. Mm-hmm. And that's probably all I'm going to say about that.
All right. Fair enough. Let's see here. Have you ever regretted publishing a leak? Like maybe you moved too soon on it? I know you said that, you don't always get it right. The majority of the time you have, but there are a couple of times where it hasn't worked. And to be honest, I'm surprised that there aren't more for anyone that kind of releases this information, because you never truly know, the answer when you're going public with something. But have you ever regretted publishing a leak in the past?
Sure. I mean, the easy answer to that is anything I've gotten wrong, I've regretted. But above and beyond that, I would say that there have been times where I think that I've published information too early.
Got it.
That it wasn't respectful of the companies who's, because behind every leak and every product that's put out there are teams of people that are working on this stuff, and they're working hard to keep it a secret and to micromanage the dissemination of that information and the revealing and the launch of that product very closely. And it can be damaging to a company in more ways than just hurting people's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like information that's put out there too early, people like to know about it, but I don't necessarily feel good at the end of the day if it's too far out there. So I try to avoid that.
Yeah, sure.
Do you have any favorite leaks or a favorite leak story that resulted in something amazing happening afterwards?
I think one of my favorite leaks was, and this is sort of timely, not this past year's Uncarrier event, which just happened on Monday, but the one
Not the
prior
free
to
pizza
that,
event?
I'm sorry?
Not the free pizza event?
No, the one called Binge On.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't write an article on it. I just put some information about it on Twitter, and it happened to be accurate. And to their credit, T-Mobile really ran with it, and they ended up mentioning me in a little skit that they did live at the event.
Nice. I suppose that's kind of the ultimate nod, is when a company that you've leaked their information actually kind of realizes this is just kind of part of the playing field. And I don't know, but they risk. There is a level of risk here, that can actually affect their sales when it comes to leaks of devices, ahead, kind of like what you were talking about earlier, Evan, about just leaking things that are on their roadmap that can, dramatically affect the sales of their current lineup.
Well, so I was going to ask Evan, I don't know if you want to maybe list off one or two reasons why a company maybe wouldn't want their leak to come out, just for the audience at home.
Well, one of the reasons is what you just said, that if a leak happens, if there's too much time between a leak and an intended product coming out, it gives a lot of people time to change their buying habits. Mm-hmm. And companies don't care if maybe there's a week that goes by where they sell a couple less, because they're going to make up all those sales, when the next product comes out. But if it's a month or 2 months where there's a lull in sales, it doesn't equate to, you want a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. You want those sales to happen now for this quarter, not for them to get loaded into the next quarter when you have another device coming out.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one reason. And the other reason is that I can think of is that the longer time period between leak and launch, it gives competitors time to retool their own roadmaps. So if a product from one company is rumored to have a certain feature that your next product doesn't have, and you have time to make the changes, you very well might. And I've actually seen that happen a couple times. So
any specific example for that? I don't know if you can disclose that, but
yeah, I don't know if I want to talk about that specifically.
Understandable.
I think that's good.
That's my questions,
I have to be
anyways.
quite honest. It's very hard to talk about leaks because they're supposed to be very secretive.
Well, I
And
know.
it's very hard to ask to ask questions around this because as a journalist, it's a leak.
Right.
It's a secret that came out, and I can either choose to write about it or not based on kind of the validity of what the leak is. Do you ever feel like there's a little bit of competition now with leaking on the internet, at least in the tech sector? Because I noticed there's a lot of other accounts out there who are, kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are XX leaks. You ever noticed that?
Yes.
I don't know who started that, but yeah, I mean, there is some competition in a way and there's not in other ways. I mean, yeah, once someone leaks one device, it's out there. But there's many aspects to any given story, and just because there's a picture out there doesn't mean the specs are out there. Just because the picture and the specs are out there doesn't mean that the release date is out there or that the brand name is out there. So rarely does anyone have all the information, and there's usually a lot for people to pick from.
For sure. And then, as we've seen sometimes in past Google announcements, you practically know everything before the announcement happens. So it's like the event happens, and then people are like disappointed because they already knew the information, and they're like, "Wait a minute, there was nothing new here." So I guess it goes both ways. It's like people are thirsty because they want to know, they want to be on the cutting edge of information and to know kind of what's around the corner and everything. But it kind of takes the wind out of the sails when the official announcement happens, and I'm sure that's the plight of marketing. When it comes to these companies.
Yeah,
it's just part of the landscape.
Hey, Evan, I got a question for you. So, did you ever, as a little boy, think that you would be leaking smartphones and smartwatches and tablets for a living?
I honestly say that no, I did not.
What would you be doing if you weren't leaking things? Do you have any other interests besides leaking phones? And
I bet that he probably does.
I know. I'm curious. I want to know.
Well, I'm also a reporter. I do that on the side. 8 hours a day or so.
Yeah.
And I think I'd be doing what I did before this and what I will do after this, which is, just like anyone else that reads this stuff, I'm a technology enthusiast too. And, if I wasn't leaking, I'd probably have a little bit more time to actually play with my phone and to, have an app ready to discuss with you guys instead of just using whatever stock on there. So
it's all right. We understand completely.
And next time you come on the show, wink, wink, because there will be a next time. I'm doing this live on air to put pressure on. You can bring an app. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding, Evan.
Don't apply pressure. We'll figure it out. That's awesome stuff. Thanks for kind of a little bit of a window into what you do. And obviously, actually, after this first break here, we're going to talk a little bit about kind of some of the stuff that you've written, and also a few of the leaks that you've had over the past couple of days.
Yes.
So, because there's always
it's been
a couple.
A leaky week.
It kind of has. That's a really good title, actually. But before we get there, let's thank the sponsor of today's episode, and that is Tracker. It's smart cars, smartphones, smart homes, all sorts of smart things in our life. Technology has made everything smart. But losing your possessions makes you not feel very smart. You feel kind of dumb when that happens. And that's what Tracker is all about. Tracker makes losing things a thing of the past. You can I actually have a tracker that I threw into just a small pocket of my backpack, and it just sits there. I don't even have to think about it. It's just in the pocket. It's a pocket that I never used. And then if I ever, happen to leave my backpack behind or lose it or, it gets stolen or whatever the case may be, this little thing is hidden away. The tracker is hidden away in a pocket, and I can actually find where it's at. I can track it on a map. The tracker is a coin-sized device that fits pretty much everywhere. You can use it to locate your misplaced keys, wallets, bags, computers, anything in seconds. You just pair Tracker to your smartphone, attach it to whatever you have, and find its precise location with a tap of a button. It's that easy. You can customize two-way separation alerts. That way you're going to receive notifications before you happen to leave your item behind. So it'll tell you, hey, your bag's inside. Go get it. You lose your phone. You can just press the button on Tracker and your phone rings, even if it happens to be on silent. There are over 1.5 million devices. So basically it's the largest crowd GPS network in the world. The Tracker app records your lost item's last known location on a map. Then when another Tracker user comes within a 100-foot range of the item, you're going to get a GPS update of your item's location. So that whole crowd crowd mentality, that whole crowd network is going to help you find your lost stuff. Tracker is also partnered with leading companies like HP that allows companies to build trackable products and utilize the scale of Tracker's crowd GPS network. Tracker's enabled by Bluetooth LE, so the battery lasts over 1 year. You can also purchase a water-resistant case, which is perfect if you want to attach it to like a pet's collar. You can even do that. You won't lose things with Tracker, and that's why it's awesome. The hardest thing you'll ever have to do, though, is find their website. It's thetracker.com. Don't miss the Father's Day limited time sale through June 13th only. You buy 2 devices, you'll get 2 free. Plus, just for our audience, if you enter promo code AAA, you'll get a free color upgrade. I happen to have the color upgrade right here in my hands. This is the tiny little thing. This is the Tracker. See, it's like the size of a coin. And this is the color upgrade. AAA is the promo code, and you'll get an upgrade from kind of the anodized silver color to this. That's TheTracker.com, promo code AAA. And we thank the Tracker for their support. All right, Brian, it's time for some hardware with Evan. All right, first things first. Flo, we've got a new Samsung Galaxy phone.
We've got yet another
I know,
phone
it's
to
a
add
never-ending
to
stream,
Samsung's
really.
large arsenal of phones that are made available for your tiny army of smartphone people. This time it's the Galaxy S7 Active, and you want this one in your army because it's practically indestructible.
Nice.
Or so the marketing material says. Now, see, what we have here, say, is a scratch-resistant screen, 5.1 inches, just like the regular Galaxy S7. It's got the same internals as the Galaxy S7, including the Snapdragon 820 processor and 4 gigs of RAM. It has a slightly bigger battery at 4,000 milliamps, as well as water resistance.
Okay.
Shock resistance, all the wonderful things you will need if you are the outdoorsy type who likes to throw your phone at bears and doesn't want the bear to break the phone. I just would assume you would aim for the head in case you were really in direct danger.
Life tip.
Life tip.
Life tip from Flo.
Not that I've ever fought a bear, although it would give me, a lot of whatever. Anyway, so the only unfortunate thing about this is that it is exclusively on AT&T. So, if you've got any other characters, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah.
That's not going to work for me. I feel like, Evan, the shatterproof screen thing is a trend that needs to happen across the board. Why aren't we there are a couple of features that I feel like all phones should have, but shatterproof screen would make everyone happy. Why aren't we seeing more of this, do you think?
I'm not positive, and I haven't seen this phone in person yet, but I'm wondering if there's a trade-off between the display quality, perhaps, and need to make the screen shatterproof either by putting an extra layer or requiring a different technology. I'm just not sure. I can't say without having seen one, but I would think that you're right in general. I mean, it would be something that would be greatly appreciated. And there's already one other phone on the market. There's the Droid Force, the Moto X Force, which is, it's also sold as the Droid Turbo 2.
Right.
And that does have a shatterproof screen. And I haven't seen that one in person either. But I'm sure there have been some display comparisons done, and it'd be interesting to see how they fare.
Yeah, I saw the Droid Turbo 2 in person. We had it here in the studio. I didn't have it like myself to test for like a week to really get a true long-term sense at the look of the display. But
My
I do know.
My coworker got it, by the way, and he has managed to penetrate the display. But it does.
But it took a lot of work.
It
right?
took a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it didn't penetrate the actual display. It was just like the first layer.
Right.
So
the display is still fine underneath. You don't get that that shattered glass aspect that
No shattered
hides
dreams here.
every single thing. It's just like you don't get this basically. You just get like a denting effect in it, but it's still totally usable.
I think it's a conspiracy.
That we don't see more of
all
this.
those small shops. They're just like, oh yeah, we'll replace your phone. We'll
Yeah.
replace your screen for you.
I
$100.
went into one of those small shops just yesterday, actually.
You did?
Because I'm still dealing with the Galaxy S7 that I have that has a cracked screen and getting the credit card to pay for the repair.
Maybe you should just
It's like one step after another.
trade it in for Galaxy S7 Active and then.
Maybe I should, but
Yeah.
that would require more money.
Yeah.
In this case, the credit card will pay for it. So I'm just jumping through their hoops,
Yeah.
basically.
Also, I gotta say, just BT dubs, this phone seems to only come in camouflage.
Oh, really?
I didn't see all the color choices, but the one that is being shown off is camouflage on the back.
Well, I have to imagine there's more
I mean, I
colors than
hope
that.
there's like an all gold one. That would be lovely.
Let's see here. Evan says...
Yeah, what did Evan write?
Evan writes, sandy gold, titanium gray, or camo green.
Oh,
So
okay,
you've got
then they're
options
just
for 'em.
showing the camo green. Okay. Phew.
I'm pretty sure camo green as the only option would be yes, they'd be selecting their audience to a very narrow group.
I mean, it is making a comeback. So,
Yeah, still, it's a preference. OnePlus is hopefully making a comeback. I think they would feel pretty strongly about that. The OnePlus 3 is going to be unveiled very soon, actually. It's set to be unveiled on June 14th.
that's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Oh, so we'll
which is
have
the
it.
day of our show.
Excellent. So we'll be able to talk about it in detail. It looks like they're going to be casting away the invite system for the first time.
Where
and
is the
for
hallelujah
good.
sound on the soundboard? Hallelujah.
Yeah, I don't know if we have that. It does look nice, though. Did you get any leaks on the OnePlus 3 ahead of kind of where we're at right now? I know there's been some information that's been kind of
Yeah,
disseminated.
that picture that you're showing on screen right now was a leak of mine.
Oh, yeah, no big deal.
So can
I swear,
we...
you're all over this hardware section.
Well, considering we all get our news from him.
I know, right?
So can we just talk about how kind of like that phone looked like a amalgamation of... It looks like HTC and Apple had a baby.
Yeah, it really does. I
Or
mean,
it's their teenager, actually.
but these
Considering it's a larger phone.
I don't know, but all phones look like
They do.
themselves now.
They
It's
do.
just kind of the way it is,
They
right?
do. Are phones becoming farces of themselves?
I just think there's a design language that people look for in phones,
true.
and it's a very small category of design choices, and people.
Whatever, I like what I see. So what am I complaining about here? I'm like, that looks nice.
I do think it looks like a nice
It
device.
does.
I don't know. Do you think, Evan, that OnePlus can kind of, I don't know, capture a little bit more imagination than they did with the OnePlus 2? It seemed like OnePlus 1 had a lot, kind of a selective, for sure, but a selective nerd group very passionate about the OnePlus 1. I was a big fan of the OnePlus 1.
quote-unquote flagship killer.
Yes.
And they killed no flagships.
And then the
that
OnePlus
year.
2 came along, and it was, I don't know, it just kind of
It was
didn't have
wrought
nearly as
with
much update.
issues, as we saw on the... Did you see the OnePlus documentary that came out
No.
last week? Marcus Brownlee tweeted it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he makes a
okay.
cameo in it. Yeah, it was all about the OnePlus 2 launch, and it ends with like them freaking out about the message boards and all the angry posters.
Which seems to
saying-
happen with every launch.
Yes.
Do you think the OnePlus 3 has the chance of kind of recapturing some of the magic that the OnePlus 1 had? What do you think, Evan?
Well, I would argue that the 2 maybe didn't lose as much as you might think. You have to remember the reason they were able to get rid, or I should say they wouldn't have been able to get rid of the invite system unless OnePlus 2 was quite popular.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
They had that in order to keep inventory costs down and to not be manufacturing and having to warehouse too many phones at a given time. But it obviously sold at enough of a clip, and you have to really give credit to their marketing, I think, because for how many boutique brands like that, yes, they have a backing of a bigger company, but they've really been able to make a name for themselves. And to my leak of that picture that we just saw, that was one of my most popular tweets of the year so far. So for just a small brand to be able to do that, it says a lot about the reach that they've had. So I wouldn't worry too much, but yeah, I think that this does have a more compelling design than last year's. The the specs sound like they're, top notch. And what it's really going to come down to, as it almost always does, is the price.
Yep. What the cost, and are they going to keep it in that kind of like $350 range or boost it up a little bit? It definitely looks like a more premium phone than the previous two. I don't know if that's just because of the kind of like the aluminum metal body. Just automatically I end up like elevating it a little bit because of something like that, but it looks really nice.
I would suggest that everyone watch the OnePlus 2 documentary if you're interested. It's actually really well shot. I really like.
Was it released by OnePlus? Like,
yes.
Was it there?
I thought it was something completely different, but it was released by OnePlus. It was done by them. So obviously it is told from their perspective, but I just thought it was, I don't know, just kind of a nice look if you're a fan at, what their process is like, and,
You don't really see a whole lot of documentaries about what it takes to build a smartphone, to be honest. So if you're fans of the smartphone world,
well,
yeah,
if you're
that's probably a good
fans of
idea.
OnePlus, I mean, if you're a fan of OnePlus. And there's a bunch of cameos in it from fellow Android journalists.
Well, I think that
So,
kind of that speaks to
like,
what Evan was talking about as far as like marketing and their
Yes.
marketing prowess. Which in this case, they're going to be doing an unveiling in VR again. So you have to download their app and you go online on the 14th or inside the app on the 14th, and you have the ability to buy the phone, I think 3 hours ahead of the public if you're watching the event in VR, and you could be the first one to get it, and then
Just
you'll be shipped
imagining
in a couple of
somebody-
days, so there's no delays here.
I'm just imagining somebody being like totally sick from the VR and just being like,
Oh man, I missed my opportunity. I was too busy throwing up.
Too much motion sickness.
True fans will fight it out though.
Yeah, it's true.
They'll battle through that.
If you're a true fan, send
Yes.
anyway. Speaking of vomit-inducing, actually, I don't think this is a nice transition, so I take that back. I was trying to say it's a transition because it's the rumored Project Tango, rumored by our guest today. And I wanted to say vomit-inducing because it's Project Tango and AR, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if you can't handle that, you would vomit. But I'm not saying Project Tango is vomit-inducing.
I don't know.
I'm stepping back a little
yeah,
bit today.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
I am.
It's okay. You can fill in that hole.
Evan, do you want to chat a little bit about this ridiculously large phone that's being rumored to be launched in 2 days? 6.4
Yeah, I mean,
inches?
it is quite big for a commercial handset. Even the phablets that we're used to are only in the upper 5-inch range. But there's a certain class of people who the phone just can't be big enough for them. And for a lot of people, they use these phablets as tablets. They don't have two devices; they have one. So I think that, especially with some of the unique capabilities that it's rumored to be bringing, that will it be a blockbuster hit? I don't know, but I don't think they necessarily expect that.
Yeah.
Especially because it's the first generation of this technology. But I think that it's not obnoxiously big for perhaps the type of person that they're marketing to.
I think that's a really good point.
6.4 inches. And my Nexus 6, obviously that was a 6-inch device. And by and large, anyone who had the Nexus 6, unless you had enormous hands, I had pretty big hands. I have pretty big hands, so it wasn't unmanageable for me. But so many people would I would hand them the phone and they'd
like
be
it.
like,
It's so much
how
easier
can
to
you live
type.
with this?
It's so much easier to type with two thumbs. You're just like, brrr.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like
take
having that
meetings
extra
with
space, but
I take meetings with a tablet. That's how I type my notes. I'm like, tell me
So
more.
It'll work. But all I know is the stuff that I saw at Google I/O in the Project Tango kind of demonstration that they had there really kind of blew me away. It was one of the high points of my time at Google I/O this year. I know you were there as well. Really cool stuff. I mean, so much of it just kind of reminded me of the things that we've seen from, what is the other, the AR company that, Magic Leap. And some of the kind of videos that Magic Leap has put out so far. And we really don't know very much about Magic Leap other than that Google has invested in it, and it's very interesting kind of augmented reality technology, and it's raised all of this money all without having a single product to show for it at this point. People who've seen it say it's amazing, but a lot of the footage that they've released about that was very similar to kind of what we were seeing at the Project Tango thing. I guess the difference would be wearing it on your face versus seeing it through a phone, in this case, a 6.4-inch phone. So I'm very curious to see this. Are you going to this event?
I am going to be there on Thursday at Lenovo World. I will be there for the entire day. They have quite an itinerary set out for us, so it will be a very...
It's an itinerary sort of thing.
Yeah, it will be a very long day for those of us media personnel. But I do have to say, somebody brought up a comment in the chat room that I'm wondering about as well. You know, Lenovo is definitely known for its bloatware on both its phones and tablets and PCs. I'm wondering if Google kind of stepped in and was like, no. For this Project Tango to be amazing and be able to do all the AR stuff that we want it to do, nothing of yours gets to go on here. I'm wondering if there's any sort of... That's the thing I'm very curious about. Because I've already seen what the underlying technology can do. I already know it's phenomenal and cool and totally futuristic, but I want to know what the consumer implementation is going to be like. What's it going to look like? Is it going to be easy to use?
And is it targeted at a specific user, specific type of user, or are they actually thinking, no, this is actually something that we want everybody to have? Evan, do you go to events like, would you be flying out for VentureBeat to cover an event like this, or is that not something that you participate in?
I haven't yet. I tend not to travel much because I have MS. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to sort of get a trip together and to be physically up for it.
Got it. Well, I can't wait to see. I know that Father Robert is going to be there. And this Friday, Father Robert's going to be on Tech News Today with me. And so I'm sure if they have some sort of review unit to hand out to reporters and stuff, he will have one. We'll show it off on the network on Friday. And I'm really looking forward to it. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. All right, let's see here. And then this story kind of broke a couple of hours before the show and kind of took me back to a couple of years ago when because I feel like every year we've been seeing Samsung and their bendy
writing about
screens.
this since I was like an intern, by the way.
It's true. It's totally true. I think 2013 may have been the first time, or 2012.
Oh God, it feels like it's been longer.
Yeah, possibly. Samsung may be bringing fully flexible screens to a handset near you, possibly in 2017. Sources told Bloomberg that one device folds up like, they say, a cosmetic compact, and the other folds from a 5.5-inch phone into an 8-inch tablet. We actually have a concept video. Brian, I think you played it earlier. We have it here from, I think this was 2014.
Oh my God, that is so cute. I would totally carry something. It reminds me of like the PDAs back in the 90s that were just like green and black, that opened up like little computers with their full QWERTY keyboards. Anyway.
So you've got a phone you've got a phone, and the acting here is atrocious.
Clearly.
But I don't know. You know, there's a lot of differentiating.
You gave him your card? Hold on. This video, this girl just gave him her card and he put it inside of the foldable curved Samsung thingy.
Yes.
Bye.
What? She gave him a card? Why didn't she like NFC him her business like name or whatever?
I don't know.
Anyway, come on, people. Live in the future. Sorry.
Do you want one of these?
I do, actually. I do. I would love the idea of just like,
Yeah?
yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious.
You know, and it would be great because then I could just install Pokemon the card game on one device.
Of course,
instead
it all
having
goes
to carry
back to
around my
Pokemon.
tablet with me. Listen, I'm really obsessed with it.
I know.
I gotta tell you, this weekend, total digression, but this weekend I bought physical cards.
Wow.
That's how bad it's getting.
Going all in then.
You can redeem the physical cards in the game. They give you like a code.
So instead of in-app purchases, it's out-app purchases.
It's like, and you go to
essentially?
like CVS or Rite Aid, you could buy the card
okay.
packs.
All right.
I need a support group.
In the search for differentiating our hardware, Evan, do you think foldable devices like this is, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly unexplored territory for the most part with Samsung. I think actually Sony had, was it Sony? I reviewed it.
I was thinking of Microsoft, by the way, when they had the
It's like a clamshell tablet.
Yeah, that S2 or something.
Yeah.
I think I remember what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yeah. Do you think this is uncharted territory that needs to be explored and exploited?
I do, actually, because, one of the biggest problems we have, and you were joking about this earlier with the 6.4-inch phone being too big, but people want big displays, but they don't want to carry big products in their pockets. And this is a great way for you to have your cake and eat it too, to have that big screen, but also in a form factor that's more manageable. So I agree with there was an analyst that was quoted in the Bloomberg piece that it said this could be a real game changer, and I think they're right. I think it could be, as long as it's implemented properly, has the hinges and whatever are. But knowing that it's from Samsung, it'll be well manufactured. So I do think that has. There we go.
Oh, so this was the Sony Tablet P from I don't know when was this
Oh
review?
my gosh,
2012.
your hair's so long.
Yeah, it got longer than that. Which was basically a tablet
Wait,
that
you're
was
holding it, so it looks like a makeup compact.
But this is the Sony tablet, and obviously it's not a bendable screen.
Oh, I remember
It's a hinged
this.
screen,
I remember
and
this.
it was awful because you had that like bezel going through the middle of the screen. It was uncomfortable. Probably the wrong comparison to make between what Samsung is doing and this device. But anyways, we've seen a little bit of this in the past, and there we go. History
Samsung's done
repeats
the
itself.
curve thing before, like
Well,
the
sure,
curved
they've got-
retractable screen before.
Have they? I mean, I know they have the curve with the edge.
It's also
Galaxy
possible.
Edge.
I am thinking about when I worked at Mac Life, we used to have like a forward-thinking feature we did every January, and one of them was an iPhone with
A retractable
like
screen.
a retractable
Oh,
screen.
wow.
Yeah, so it's possible it's what I'm thinking of. But,
Interesting.
Yeah, the wish list has been a while.
There we go. All right, so we'll stay tuned and see what Samsung comes up with there. Before we move into a few apps news and answer another email, let's thank sponsor of this episode, Gazelle, the trusted online marketplace for buying and selling used electronics. We talk about electronics on the show, gadgets all the time. This is a way that you can take that old phone that you're not using anymore or that needs to be upgraded and get a new one and get some cash for your old one. Trade in your old device for cash, buy a certified pre-owned one, or do both. For trade-ins, all you got to do is visit Gazelle.com, find your device, and you'll get an instant quote. Shipping is free, and you get your payment super fast. If you're looking to buy a certified pre-owned device, Gazelle has a nice variety of Samsung Galaxy phones, great prices to choose from. Every device is fully inspected. It's backed by a 30-day return policy and sold without a carrier contract. Go to Gazelle.com. You can see what your old device is worth and check out the selections of certified pre-owned devices. And Gazelle is now providing financing on all devices by Affirm. You simply provide your basic information. You'll get instantly approved. You pay with a pay offer in 3, 6, or 12 months. And it's easy monthly payments that can be made through bank transfer, check, or debit card. And you just select financing with Affirm at checkout to get that started. Gazelle also offers a 12-month warranty for cell phones powered by Assurance Solutions. That covers water damage, cracked screens, hardware defects, and more. Outside of that, help's available 24/7 to process claims and return your device as soon as possible, so you can get right to the fixes or replacement if you need. Don't miss out on getting the best value on certified pre-owned devices. Visit Gazelle.com today. There's just a ton of benefits for doing the pre-owned device route. Devices are in good or excellent condition, so you get a different price based on their condition. Good condition shows some gentle signs of wear and tear, but offers just great prices on still great devices, if you're okay with that. Or you can get the excellent condition ones, and they look fantastic. All devices have been put through a rigorous 30-point inspection process, ensuring that they're perfect, in perfect working order. Devices available for major carriers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, and Sprint. So give new life to your used electronics, trade in for cash, or buy certified pre-owned. Visit Gazelle.com today to check it out for yourself. And we thank Gazelle for their continued support of All About Android. I think it's a match made in heaven. It's a perfect fit. All right, let's jump into apps, Brian. So apparently, Good Guy Gazelle, or Good Guy Google, sorry, is analyzing. Sorry, I saw the Z in analyzing and it like switched my brain. Good Guy Google is analyzing what apps you've installed in the Play Store that you just don't use anymore and are just kind of sitting there eating up storage space. Play Store will actually prompt you to free up space when it's low by showing those unused apps and all the space that they occupy. And that'll push you through to the storage settings inside Android, where you can delete any associated media that's associated with that app, just taking up space, and you can free up space. Really good for low storage space devices, I suppose, because in that case you can take anything that you get at that point. You know,
I appreciate that instead of telling me like as I'm trying to install the updates for an app, as I'm like about to get on a plane ride.
Oh, that's the worst.
Appreciate knowing ahead of time so that I can, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this kind of lets you know this as you're trying to install something.
Yeah.
And it says, insufficient space here. Why don't we fix that for you? So I don't know if it would save you in that regard. But yeah, I encountered this last night. I have 2 Nexus 9s, 2 children, tablet for each. One of them is a 16 gig model. And one of them is a 32 gig model. And you realize how fast like a 16 gig tablet is eaten up after all the stock gigs. Stuff in there. 32 gig is a little bit more doable, and you know there's a little bit of extra wiggle room there. But I mean, it was to the point to where there was an update for the OS on the 16 gig, and it couldn't do it. It just didn't have the space, so I had to go through and start deleting things.
I am dying on my Tab S2, like at 32 gigs, and that's with an SD card inside.
Yeah.
Evan, do you have any tablets that you like?
I have 2 tablets, and I like them both. One of them, like Jason, I have just one Nexus 9, and I also have an iPad Mini. And
iPad Mini.
I have
to say that in the show, by the way.
Yes.
I have
yes, you're allowed.
Competitors' tablets.
No, yeah, I actually have an iPad Mini as well. It's my only exposure to iOS, and I need to use it more. It's the problem. It's just not tablet is not part
the right
of my
person
daily
for you to talk to about this.
Taste.
I am not going to support you in this endeavor.
So, Evan, real quick before we move on, this has been like a recurring topic that's come up for Nexus 9 users, just about the Nexus 9 being just a good tablet or not. A lot of people say it's a piece of junk. It's had all sorts of issues.
Flo has said it's a piece of junk. It's had all sorts of issues.
You're not the only one, Flo. You're not the only one. Ron, however, on the other side of the fence, thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. Have you had any issues with your Nexus 9? Do you like it as a tablet? Is it sufficient for you?
You know, I got it as a gift, so I'm going to be a little bit careful about what I say about it. I do enjoy using it. I've had a few app slowdowns, but they were really, you know, like some games that were really quite taxing. I think one of the problems with it is just that it's got sort of a one-off processor by NVIDIA. It's not really used on a lot of other devices, so most apps aren't tailored to that particular silicon, and I think perhaps that's more of a problem, at least as I see it, than the tablet itself. One thing I will say is I don't like the hardware buttons. The power and the volume, I think that they're way too flush with the side of the device, and it's always such a problem to try to capture a screenshot or something.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it's got a great looking screen, good build quality, so I'm happy with it overall.
Yeah, I've had the encounter of and I've talked about it on the show in the past, of updating the OS and having it brick the phone. Ron had this the other day, yet he still is like a total fan. You know, so there've just been random little issues here and there, and I know what you mean about the buttons on the side being flush, because I'm always like fighting to find them. But overall, I think
it was a fine tablet.
It's been an all right tablet, Flo.
Evan you guys are both right. I'm just bringing
grumpy.
I'm just bringing some drama to the table. That's all. I'm here for the drama. But I agree with Evan. They definitely did not take advantage of the SoC that was inside that Integra.
Yeah.
You know what Twitter's taking advantage of?
What?
Finally,
What?
material design.
Oh yeah.
We got a new update today, Twitter users. We've got a new version of Twitter. it looks totally different. It's got a new slide out menu with your profile details. There are refreshed tabs, so you can quickly switch between your timeline, notifications, and direct messages. It's just all the tweaks that you've wanted to see in Twitter for Android. In addition to, finally, Twitter has its own fab, floating action button.
So they went the material route.
Thankfully. That's like the one thing that distinguishes an Android app from an iOS one. And I went to a bar once and I ran into a Twitter
I feel like you're setting up
dev.
a joke.
No, this
I walked
is a
into a
story.
bar and-
No, I walked into a bar and I met a Twitter dev. This was a couple years ago, and I, went up to him bravely and I said, "You guys don't like code separately for the Android OS, do you?" And he's like, "Nope, it's just ported over."
Ah, that was a good punchline.
Anyway, well, and then I let him have it, and I deeply regret that
Yeah.
because it really wasn't his fault. But now we've got our own dedicated Android app that looks like something we would use on our Android devices. So
Well, and you have to imagine Joaquim Vergas. He was the developer of Falcon for Twitter.
Falcon Pro.
And he was snapped up by Twitter not too long ago. I think it was like a year ago or 9 months ago at this point.
I talked to him about that, and I was looking forward to seeing what he'd be doing under his tenure, and I
here
like
you
to
go.
see we have a fab,
There we go.
a fab.
He said on Twitter, this is the first step of the Falconization project. I don't know if he was joking. I think he was probably joking. Okay, so real quick before we get to the arena here, we have an email that I think is perfect for those of us that are all here rounded
Have
up
an
right now.
email. I wish I could say it like strong bad. Email.
I can't remember.
It's okay.
It's been a long time since Strong
Never
Bad.
mind. Hello, All About Android team. I've just started watching your show, and you're more fun than Netflix.
Oh, thanks. I think.
I really enjoy the fact that your reviews are sincere, funny, and useful. I would love to hear your opinion on the following. Imagine you have to use for 1 month an Android phone and its operating system from 5 years ago.
Ooh, thought
What would
experiment.
This is such an amazing question. What would you use? Seamus O'Neill, Puebla, Mexico. Thank you, Seamus, for writing this. I notice here in our notes that there are a list of
Yeah, I put in.
devices.
I went through to see like what
I
were
really
the
appreciate
top.
that, by
What
the
were
way.
the top? I mean, there's no way I could do this off the top of my
absolutely.
head. So I went through and kind of pulled out what many thought were the top devices of 2012. You got the Nexus 4, Samsung Galaxy S3, the Galaxy Note 2, a bunch of HTC Droid DNA, which I happened to really like back then, HTC One X, the One X Plus, the One S, Motorola Droid Razr M, Razr Max HD, Razr Max, LG Optimus G. And it's hard because this was like 5 years ago, so it's hard to know all of the details of all of these devices. But I don't know, just based off that list alone, is there anything that really stands out for you? We'll start with you, Evan,
let's start
because
with Evan.
you have such a history with devices.
He's probably
and
leaked
stuff.
how many of these?
Yeah, you probably had a few of these on your belt. Anything stand out of one of these off this list that you would live with for a month now?
Probably the Nexus 4.
Yeah.
That was a highly rated phone, and one that people keep coming back to as sort of an iconic device that's really lasted well for them. So I think I could be happy with that. Most of the day my phone's just kind of sitting there charging, so it doesn't get a ton of use.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could live with a lot of these actually. The Droid DNA was also, I remember that was the first full HD screen in the U.S.
That was exactly it. I remember looking at the Droid DNA the first time, and what stood out for me was I loaded up a Twitter app, and the little avatars, I felt I was looking through a little window as opposed to looking at a pixelated image. It felt like it was the sharpest avatar I'd ever seen. I was like, whoa, this is the future of smartphones. They're all going to be this sharp. And sure enough, our eyes are totally tuned to it now, and it's not nearly as impressive. But that first time I saw it, going into it, I was like, why do you need higher res display? And then I saw it, and I was like, okay, I get it. So I know exactly what you mean. What do you think, Flo?
Well, you guys, I really loved the Galaxy S3.
The S3? Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of people did.
I did. I fell in love with Berlin all over again with that phone in my hand. I shot my entire vacation there with it. I was using it until that Moto X came out that year. I have a lot of memories with that phone. I think maybe part of it is because of all the memories I have with the phone, but
Sure.
it also, because I do remember sometimes that the phone had really frustrated me. But
Yeah,
I still have
as
it.
they all do eventually.
And I regret because I totally read through the notes before I left, but I did not read through the email. I could have brought my S3. I still have it. I have a white S3 with a purple case on it, just sitting inside my closet.
Yeah, just sitting inside, just eating up space. Yeah, I wondered. I never had the S3 for myself, so I didn't have that personal connection to it. I actually never had the Nexus 4. Nexus 4 was one of the few Nexuses that I've never had, and I almost picked it just based on the fact that it was Nexus, Evan. Until like when I was reading it, I realized it didn't have LTE, and I forgot about that. I was like, oh well, I kind of need. I mean, in this day and age, if I was going to live a month without LTE, that would be really difficult to do. Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
gosh.
Right.
LTE was not really a thing 5 years ago. It was
It was
new.
just starting, but the Galaxy Note 2 had LTE. It had a 1.6 gigahertz quad-core Exynos, 2 gigs of RAM, micro
was the first
SD,
stylus.
3100 milliamp hour battery. So I don't know. I'd probably pick that, I guess, for lack
Would
of
you use the
anything better.
stylus, the one that came out back then?
If it was there, I'd use it. Sure,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Do a little S Note action.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. It wants to be used. I'll use it.
That's a thing we should do. Living with phones of the past. Ron would go back to his Nexus 5.
I don't know if I want to put myself through going back to the Motorola Droid. As much as I loved it, it was my first phone and everything. It annoyed the hell out of me towards the end.
I would try and put an HTC phone in your hand, like an
Yeah.
older one.
I wanted.
And then
an
I
HTC.
would, of course, take the
I had the
Samsung one.
Thunderbolt, HTC Thunderbolt.
On Verizon.
Yes, for their first LTE.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that had
phone was-
issues. It was okay, but
I had
it
a friend who used
issues.
to call me about that every weekend. My phone's broken. How do I fix it? I don't know. I'm
It's
not
your
your tech
phone.
support. Stop paying me.
Good thought experiment. Thank you so much for emailing that in, Seamus. We really appreciate it. And everybody that emails, always appreciate all of your feedback. We get far too many to ever answer all of them on the show, but thanks for sending them to us regardless. And thank you to Evan Blass for joining us for this portion of the show. Really appreciate you coming on and not only talking about all the stories and everything, but giving us a little bit of kind of background insight into what you do and what, those of us that, especially that are sitting at this table, follow on a weekly basis. We really appreciate, we appreciate the information that you put out there and all of your hard work. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate the invitation. I had a nice time, and next time I'll know that I have to pay attention from the very start.
That's all right, man. Sorry about that. VentureBeat.com and at EvLeaks on Twitter is where you can find Evan. Thanks again, Evan. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you,
You too.
Evan.
All right. Well, take care.
guys.
Talk to you soon. All right. Before we get into the arena, let's take a minute to thank the sponsor of this episode. That's the Ring Video Doorbell. I happen to have one right here. It's not the one that I already have installed at my home, which I do. This is a different one. And, I wish I could take this and put it on my back door. I don't know. Sure. Here you go. There you go. But I have one in the front, and it is awesome. So the Ring Video Doorbell, this is going to protect you, basically. Home burglary happens every 13 seconds. Most burglaries happen in broad daylight. Burglars will ring your doorbell just to make sure you're away before they break in. Ring Video Doorbell has proven to stop burglaries before they happen by allowing you to see and speak to anyone approaching your door by using your smartphone. Now, Ring is using their advanced motion detection technology to protect your entire property with the Ring of Security Kit. The kit includes a Ring Video Doorbell for the front door and a Ring Stick-Up Cam. That's a wireless, weatherproof HD camera that'll keep an eye on other parts of your property. Ring of Security Kit also includes a solar panel and a chime. I also have a chime, by the way. It's the bell, essentially, that's inside. It's connected through Wi-Fi. So when somebody's outside and rings the Ring Video Doorbell, inside I hear the bing, bing, bing. And not only is it singing to my phone, it also sings to the chime and everyone in the house can hear it and answer the door. It's really great stuff. The Ring Video Doorbell and Stick-Up Cam install in just minutes. Working together, you're provided 24/7 monitoring of your entire home, whether you're in the living room or thousands of miles away. Just a really great way to, kind of help someone out. If you have someone important in your life, you can send them this package, and then no matter where they happen to be, they can protect themselves too. Or, hey, you have it at your house, you go to their house, whatever. You still have a connection to your home, and you can keep tabs on everything. Really important, really empowering. Join the hundreds of thousands who protect their home with Ring. For a limited time, All About Android listeners save $50 off the Ring of Security kit. Go to ring.com/allaboutandroid and take advantage of the lowest price anywhere. That's ring.com/allaboutandroid. And we thank Ring for their support, their continued support of All About Android. All right, it's that time. It's time for the arena.
Many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
Let's see here. I have not checked last week's outcome, but I have a feeling I lost pretty hard. Yeah, Sunshine 14. Okay, so boom. Whoa, it was really close. Final Fantasy came in at 33%, with Boomerang Notifications coming in at 32%. That is a really, really close call.
I feel like I should let Ron know that Final Fantasy won.
Yeah, he might not know. He might think that he was ahead. So wait a minute. Which Ron? Ron Amadio or Ron Richards?
Amadio.
Okay, we should let Ron Amadio know that he won, and we should let Ron Richards know that he lost.
He's still tied with me. I still have a chance.
You have a chance. So Wade County, let's see here, has the results. Guests and Flo are tied at 5. Ron
is also at 5.
Tied at 5 also. Man, it's a three-way race.
Tie.
I am at 7, but the gap is closing. The gap is closing. So this is going to go down to the wire, and we're only halfway through the year. So it's just Flo and I this week in the arena, but I thought maybe we'd bring Brian in the arena and see if he can stand toe-to-toe.
I might have something.
Might have something? All right. All right. Well, I'm the big loser. That means that I have to go first.
Okay.
So hold on to your something until I'm done. All right. So what do I have here? So do you remember Weather Timeline?
Yes.
Really fantastic use of material design. Single developer. Here, I gotta find out. This is a new angle for the app.
Yeah, this is a new angle.
I mean, it's just Weather Timeline went nuts, basically, and Google loves it because it's a great example of material design. Well, the developer of Weather Timeline just released a Twitter app, and it's called Flamingo for Twitter. And as Twitter apps go, Twitter only offers, I think it's 100,000 tokens for Twitter apps.
Yes.
So if you want this, you might as well go ahead and pay the 99 cents for it and get on board with Flamingo for Twitter. True to form, the developer has brought basically material design to Twitter, and wouldn't you know it, as luck would have it, Twitter rolled out its material design update today. So it's maybe a tiny bit less of a differentiator based on what it would have been prior to Twitter's update. But as you can see, I have one of the things that's really cool about Flamingo is that you have the ability to really kind of customize things, right? I've added the activity tab, which wasn't there when I first launched the app. You can add any number of tabs and swipe through it and all that, and you get everything looking nice. It's also set in a black theme right now, which I can go into settings, do theme, preset themes. You've got a bunch of different theme options here. And, here, I'll go ahead and try that one for size. You can also kind of go in there and tweak all of the individual colors individually if you want, and just kind of change the layout of everything. Do you want icons to show? Do you want text to show? All this kind of stuff. And that's, one of the big, I think, components of Flamingo is really just kind of tailoring it to your own usage and specifications and everything. I have notifications on, so I'll get those and everything. But you can see it kind of changed the look and feel of everything. I've got the fab down here. Flo's favorite fab. And we'll go ahead and tap that, and I can go ahead and compose a tweet there if I want with all the options that I need. It's a nice option for Twitter if you want something new, change things up, try it out. It has the support for multiple accounts, although I only have one account synced over right now. And yeah, I don't know. I've been really enjoying kind of hopping through it and seeing what it's all about. I'll go to my profile here real quick, and that's what a profile page looks like. So it's called Flamingo. It's a new Twitter app, Flamingo for Twitter, and developed by Sam Ruston, who did Weather Timeline. So if you liked Weather Timeline, you should definitely check this out. It's still in beta, so you have to imagine that there are changes forthcoming as beta usually denotes. But there you go, Flamingo for Twitter. It's only 99 cents, and you can check it out for yourself. Do it. All right, so Brian, you are up next. What do you got for us?
Okay, so it's been a long time since I've reviewed an app on the show.
It has been. Why? Why, dang it?
Usually because I'm busy pushing the buttons for
That's
it,
true.
I guess.
Okay.
And I don't really have the camera set up for it, so I actually recorded this earlier. Did a little screen cap and
Look
some
at
stuff.
him showing us up.
And I just wanted to be prepared.
Okay.
But the app I'm showing off is called John GBA Lite. There's a paid version also, which is just called John GBA. And GBA stands for Game Boy Advance. And this is a emulator for Game Boy ROMs that works really well on the Android phone I have right now is the Nexus 6P. So it flies on that. And I think the phone I had before that was Moto X, and it ran fine on there too. But yeah, it's basically just a pretty simple emulator that I've been using to play old Game Boy Advance games. And the things that I like about it over some of the other emulators that I played with are a lot of the settings are really customizable. So you've got a bunch of different settings if you want to change around the controls or change out the layout of the controls. You can also do screenshots. You can do cheats. So that's kind of neat if you had a good memory of an old Game Shark cheat or something else that you wanted.
Heck yeah, I do.
There's a few different power modes too, which is really important when you're trying to save battery life, but you want to squeeze out one more game. But this is showing off the interface. You can move those buttons around to however you like. You know, if you happen to have a thumb that hits the A button too soon or something like that, if you have like big hands, you can switch it around or however you like. One of my favorite things about it, though, and if this happens to you once, you kind of learn your lesson, and that's if you lose your saves. So the worst thing that can happen is you lose a saved game that you put a lot of hours into. And one of the other apps that this guy John, I think his name's John. Well, it's got to be John, right?
It must be. It has to be.
Right. One of the other apps that he kind of ties into this is called John Data Sync, and you can tie that into your Dropbox. Pretty simple. You just have to link it to your account, and then every time you make a save, it'll back up to your Dropbox. So if you move to a different device, or if you happen to like format your device and forget to move your saves, which I have, it'll be backed up.
It's amazing.
And so, I mean, one of the nice things about running these old games on new phones is that the screen on my Nexus 6P is 100 times better than my old Game Boy. So, like, the games look really nice and really sharp, really colorful and stuff. And, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't play Pokemon on it.
You chose Charmander?
Of course, yeah. What? Oh, what would you have gone with, Flo?
Squirtle. I'm a water Pokemon type
all right.
gal.
Well, we're going to have to battle it out then.
I actually just downloaded this today because you told me about this app over the weekend. So
yeah, well, it's pretty simple too. I mean, if you have the ROMs legally obtained, of course, it'll search your phone and find them, or you can specifically direct it to a folder. So pretty simple there. And one of my favorite features too is that you can speed up games and stuff. So like if you're playing Pokemon.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's really
The
kind of
annoyance of Pokemon.
it's a
so
grinding
slow.
game because it takes so long for a lot of things to happen or menus to pop up and stuff. So you can speed it up so that you actually run around and stuff.
Amazing.
And so that's basically it. Called John GBA. Definitely try out the light version. The only difference between the light version and the paid version is that the light version. It doesn't cost anything, but it'll have like a banner ad or something in it. And I think there might be a couple other features that are left out. But otherwise, it's $2.99 for the paid version, and it gets rid of the ads and stuff. So definitely recommend it.
Can you move the buttons like in any position you like?
Yeah, totally.
Because that is like I have a serious problem with on-screen buttons, just because
Yeah.
I'm very weird about like the way I hold a phone.
Right.
Accidentally hitting like one of the navigation buttons.
Yeah, no, totally. What I like about the button mapping stuff is, so you see like it has a little bit of a square around the buttons and stuff. You can just drag them wherever you want. You can also remove buttons. So like if you wanted the screen to be lower, or you don't use the left or right shoulder buttons, you just get rid of those. So pretty simple.
Emulation is awesome.
Yeah.
I love
Spoiled.
living in the past.
I do too.
Galaxy
in some ways.
S3, Game Boy Advance. Life was so
Pokemon.
much simpler back then.
Pokemon every single week.
Well, Pokemon will probably be doing that until like the day I die.
Yeah,
Let's
like
be
that's
real.
not the past. That's just life.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
That's just real life. All right, excellent pick. I love it.
A brave pick. Brave.
You are brave, Brian.
Yeah, you know, and I got the email from Jason, I think around like 2 o'clock.
Yeah, dude, you turned this around.
And
My
he said like, oh, can you just throw something in there? And the first 3 that I wanted to do were all on the list, and like some of them go back to Android 50, I think.
Yeah, we've been doing this for a while. 3 to 4 apps every single episode for 270 episodes an hour, 269
There's like a billion
episodes.
apps or something, right? I just made up that number. I don't know.
I know.
know how many apps there are in the Google Play Store, but I don't.
There's a billion apps, but there's like a handful of ones that are
Of
decent.
excellent, yes, amazing apps.
You should just
and
have
stuff.
a couple shows where we just pick like the crappiest
Yeah.
Android apps we can find. Nothing like that would put, spamware or anything, but just like
Right.
That's a great
Just like
idea.
Although
crummy.
I'm sorry to developers of those crappy apps, but
Yeah, maybe we
will
call
be
it
crapping
something
on your app.
different. Maybe we don't call it like the Play Store's crappiest app contest. We call it isn't this unique?
I don't want to Play Store.
Ooh.
We'd have to have a different arena. It would be like a fail arena or something.
Where they all go forward and they like fall down before they get there.
Yeah, and explode.
Yeah. All right, this can be done. This can be done. What you got, Flo?
So you know what else could be done is you can make fun little videos with your photos and your videos, and basically anything you want to scrapbook to make a memory of like a lovely weekend that you had. Now, Google Photos does this for you already automatically, but sometimes I don't really like what Google does, and I want a little more control. And so I have found an app called Quick. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's like sponsored by GoPro, and
Yeah, it
it's
looks like
made
it.
by the video studio that has some sort of affiliation with GoPro. I didn't realize this when I downloaded it, by the way. I just was like, oh, this is fun. I can make cool little videos. So what it does is that you choose your best moments, the moments that you want to, memorize, and pick a video style. The video style will be, it's a very set kind of style, but you can mix and match after you've picked it. And then you can choose from over 70 different free songs to put as the background. You can kind of like edit when the music starts. You can edit how the photos are shown. You can edit like the overall filter and feel of the video. It just is a way for you to be a little more creative with some of your memories. And so I was thinking, instead of just like walking you guys through the interface, because it's definitely one of those apps where you want to play with it to see what it offers, I would just show you one that I made.
Okay.
I don't know if we have a plug that
yeah,
can work.
we do. Here, let me see.
One
here.
second. Sorry for the technical delay.
There you go.
Oh, good. Auxiliary. This will work fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Oh, hush you. Stop listening to me all the time. Why do you always need to be listening to me?
What would you like, Flo? What can I do for you, Flo?
Turn off alarms. All right, so this one I did
Oh, yeah, hold
We
it over.
went,
there we go.
camping in Big Sur.
Oh, everyone, pull up a chair around the fireplace and let's watch this show. Oh,
Just me and Eric in the car, driving.
Okay, so what'd you do here to make this?
So what I did is I chose from like all the photos in my Google photo reel, and then I imported them, and I chose one of the layouts, like one of the preset themes, and I chose a different song because I didn't like the song that came with this theme.
Some of the songs that they do in these things are just super cheesy.
And then I like chose the font for the beginning, and I chose like some of the transitions, and so these transitions are part of this like theme that I set it up with. So like you'll get different transitions with each of the different themes that you pick, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And there's also, you can't see it in the video, but there's actually a slight little filter over this that makes it look sort of like aged.
Excellent. And then, you kind of get down. It's kind of
I
like...
actually really liked it. I thought this song was pretty neat. It actually has nothing to do with camping. I just really liked the way the song sounded. So, yeah, that's quick. It lets you make a literal quick video with your clips. And it's a super easy to use interface. It took me, honestly, mere minutes to figure it out.
Sorry, I
dancing.
still had the song.
It was really
that
good. And okay, let's be honest here, everyone. Part of the reason I picked it is because I like the music. It's actually my style. So that's why
I thought it started a little slow. To be honest, it started a little slow. But once the beat kicked in,
I know
it was pretty funky.
And I don't get
had a
that
little
with
Daft
Google
Punk
Photos.
quality to it.
I don't get that with Google Photos.
No, Google.
I'm not really into the Google Photos music.
No, the music there is pretty bad.
It is.
And they never change it. It's always the same stuff. So you end up hearing,
it's like hokey music for somebody's wedding, and you're like, I don't know, I kind of want,
I've kind of gotten to the point to where I don't even
sh-
check in on the awesome videos anymore. I don't even really care about it anymore.
We should like move the segment along, but I was gonna see if we could try and.
Are you creating something right now?
Yes.
Oh.
That's like.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is like filter selection or scenario selection or whatever? Oh, okay.
These are like the different. And they're all these like open, not open source. What's it called? Royalty free.
Creative Commons or something?
Creative
or royalty
Commons.
free. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, HighWeb in chat is comparing this to, or wondering how it compares to Magisto. Yeah, there's kind of a group of apps along this category. Magisto is definitely one of them. I think I actually did an Android app
Electro, hip hop
on this episode, on this this category, but this app was not included because I don't think it was out yet.
They also have Vintage for those of you who like to make steampunk-inspired videos. Saloon piano.
This one.
Saloon piano.
Excellent.
Anyway.
So that is
Quick.
Q-U-I-K.
Oops.
Okay.
I'm gonna make one of our BART tour the other day, Brian.
You totally should. It's
I
perfect
should.
for that.
I should.
Yeah, and I can understand why GoPro's sponsoring it too, because that's like the direction they're going is building software where you can edit videos right there on your phone and stuff and just like get it done.
Huh. Okay then. I mean, yeah. Well, I guess it makes sense because you're creating
Listen, some of us like to get creative on the internet.
I'm not bashing it. I'm just it seems like a step backwards for GoPro.
Dramatics.
They're getting the software.
Yeah, I guess they want to do the whole kit and caboodle.
They want it so that anybody can just have their video or photos on their phone and then just do it there and not have to move it to the computer.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I love doing everything on my phone, okay? Because when you got 2 hours to kill on public transport,
you make videos.
I do. I make videos. What else am I gonna do? I guess I'm gonna play Pokemon, but that uses a lot of data.
There you go. bit.ly/AAA show 269 to vote for your favorite app today. Was it Flamingo for Twitter? Was it John GBA emulator for Game Boy Advance? Or Quick for editing videos? Place your vote, bit.ly/AAA show 269. Let us know what you think.
Is it poor form to vote for myself?
No, I think that's pretty standard.
Oh my gosh, he voted for himself like on the video though.
Greg
He showed us.
Greg Davis 6 minutes ago keeping us on task saying, why are you keeping the arena on Google Plus? I don't know, Greg. We don't have all the time in the world to figure it out. If you got ideas, let me know.
Wow.
AAA at twit.tv. I don't know. do think that probably at some point we should move it off of Google Plus, only because it's really.
We should just have like an
there.
old fashioned. I don't know how they did polls back in the olden
How did they do
days,
polls back in the old days of the internet?
but like an abacus or something.
So we actually have some music from Google Plus. This is one of the few songs that you can use in your videos on there now.
Are you?
This is why I never
kidding.
create videos on Google
This
Plus.
is incredibly depressing.
I'm kidding.
He's
but-
kidding. He's kidding.
Oh,
I mean, I haven't used Google
totally
Plus in
believed
like
you.
6 months or
So
something.
depressing.
Oh, Google Plus. We'll just let it play out. Just let it.
Moment of
Actually, I gotta
silence.
tell you, like the military soundtrack, music, tunes,
Mm-hmm.
they make me a little teary-eyed.
Yeah.
They kind of get me in the feels.
Yeah. I would agree. And Google Plus. Farewell.
Also gets us.
I don't know
in the
why.
feels.
I don't know why we're suddenly doing a eulogy for Google Plus. It's still around, just
Yeah.
not using
For
it as
now.
much. Sorry, I'm sorry. Hey, that's it. I think we're done. I think we've tapped out. We've hit rock bottom. We're making fun of Google Plus now. That means that we've reached the end of All About Android. Really appreciate you guys tuning in week after week, downloading, tuning in, whatever you do to get this show, whatever it is you do around here. We thank you for it. Flo, thank you for just being awesome.
Thank you, Jason, for being you.
What you got working? What are you working on?
What have I got working? Well, I'm going to be at that Lenovo thing on Thursday, covering it for PC World and Greenbot.com. I'll also be tweeting incessantly about it at OThatFlow. Also Snapchatting it at OThatFlow. I've been kind of missing from Twitch lately because my life's been a little busy.
It happens.
But I'll be back. I'm actually, if you must all know, what I'm doing right now is kind of working on my cards for Pokemon TCG so that I can be a little stronger. I'm trying to get a lot of more Pokemon EX cards. So
I heard about that.
I really could talk about this all day.
I'm pretty sure that you
Please do.
talk to us
You
about
know,
it
it
after the
helps
show's over.
me get through the days, you know?
I'll never understand. Brian, tell me you don't have some Pokemon thing to tell us about.
Yeah, I think I already did that with the app, and I don't have cards at the moment, but I did get into Magic really not that long ago.
The Gathering.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering.
MTG in some circles.
Is it much different than that, Flo? Is it kind of like
I
Magic?
actually have no idea. I never played Magic. It intimidates me a little bit.
Well, maybe I'll switch up to Pokemon, but I'll also be at the Lenovo event, so I'll see you there. Me and
I'll
Padre.
see you there, Brian.
Cool. Yeah, maybe we could take Bart. No, we won't have to, I guess. But yeah, I'm working on stuff for Know How. Me and Padre have been pretty busy. We're also going to E3 later in the month, so that'll be cool.
Isn't that next week?
Do all the cool stuff.
Yes, it is. Going down on Monday, and I'll be back on Wednesday. So,
Holy mackerel.
that'll be cool. The first time I've ever gone. So looking forward to that. So stay tuned on Know How, and you can follow me on Twitter at cranky_hippo.
And
But-
you should.
Yes, you totally should, because there's going to be Pokemon pictures and corgis and all sorts of stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Jason?
I don't know. You know?
No? What?
I don't know.
What, nothing on Yellow Gold?
Yeah, any new music?
Working on it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I got it under
Yeah?
and it really working on it, not in a jokey sort of way that one person thought we were just joking about it this whole time.
You actually make music?
Wait, that one person. That was Russell Ivanovich of Shifty Jelly. Yes, I am working on music. It just takes a long time, and so it's going to be a while. But I probably have 5 or 6 songs more or less complete for a new album. So I need to.
Nice.
I feel like I need to do another 3 or 4 before I feel comfortable then going to the next process.
I think I know what the culprit is, though, Jason.
You are so right. That is the culprit.
It's that arcade machine.
The arcade machine is totally the culprit because it's in the same room, and the time that I have to write music is night. Like it just is. I don't have
Right.
that time any other time in my
Right.
life than at night when I'm done with everything else, which means I've got very little energy. But when I'm able to motivate, I motivate and I do it and I bang it out for like 3 hours. But right now that thing's in there. And so every time I think I could do it, I sit down and I go, well, I guess I could play Donkey Kong.
You know, Jason, there's other people who would like to, use a MAME cabinet besides you. You should
Are
spread
you
the
guilting
wealth.
me into? You're guilting me into sharing my MAME cabinet?
Well,
No, I will not.
I'm trying to help you
Oh, I see.
by asking you to share it with me so that you can work on your music. See?
I see where you're coming
So
from. We're
thoughtful.
talking. I know thank you. Thank you for saving me, Flo. Anyways, yellowgoldmusic.com for the music I've already made. And who knows, someday in the future, I might have more for you. But I like what I'm coming up with so far, and I can't wait to share it. But that is it. Newsletter. We have a newsletter here at Twit. It's twit.tv/newsletter. Go there,
really good
subscribe
newsletter.
to it. Every week you get a little bit of the happenings
Every
of what
Sunday.
we're up to. Yeah.
It's a nice little treat in your Sunday inbox.
Almost as delicious as a marshmallow or a lollipop, but not quite.
You can have it with your morning coffee. That's what I do.
That was the sound of sipping coffee.
So like
many other things.
you're drinking a milkshake. You know, like there will be blood. Yeah. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
This is the longest ending
Sorry.
of a show ever.
I'll play the music.
This is the show that
Yeah, do it.
never
Play the music.
ends.
That'll force us. That'll force our hand. 347 show AAA. Send us an email or video mail at AAA@twit.tv. Find us on Twitter. We are at Android Show. Our Reddit is twitaa.reddit.com. We have show notes of past episodes at twit.tv/AAA. We also have our episodes all over the internet. YouTube, iTunes, other places that aren't those places, but they are other places. You can find them there too. And every live Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific at twit.tv/live. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you
Thanks,
next
everyone.
week.
Bye.
Jeez.